I do not support amnesty. I support legal immigration and recognize that those who seek the freedom to make a life for themselves have enriched the country. However, millions of illegal immigrants are crossing our border without our knowledge and causing a clear threat to our national security. We should secure our border immediately, increase border patrols, and build a border fence.
A lot of people use the word amnesty loosely, and the same way they use pathway to citizenship loosely, and once they use it, you're the enemy of the state if they apply that name to you. The thing is what we have right now is de facto amnesty. So the people who are really going after and saying, oh, you're for amnesty, they need to say what they're going to do. There's 11 million people, and they've been here, many of them for a decade. Many of them are working, too. What I'm saying is let's get them work visas. Let's normalize them, make them taxpayers. They're not going home. Even all the crowd that are yelling, amnesty, that person's for amnesty, are they for sending these people home? Do they want us to put them in concentration camps on buses and send them back home? I don't think anybody's proposing that. So they're here illegally. What I'm trying to do is say, let's make them legally here and give them work visas and put them into the process. The problem with immigration we have right now is, let's look at agricultural workers, the ones who come and pick a lot of the crops in our country. Last year we gave out 65,000 agricultural work permits. 1 million people came to pick crops. There's something wrong. When 1 million people are coming in, we want them to pick our crops. The farmers want them to come. But why did 1 million come and only 65,000 came properly? That's where the illegal immigrants come from. So 11 million are here over the last 10 or 15 years. If you don't fix that work visa problem, even if we normalized all the 11 million, which is controversial, but let's say we normalized them and gave them work visas, what's going to stop another 10 years, another 10 million from coming in? Unless you set up the system that works and unless you have border security. So actually my amendment, a lot of the conservatives that are giving me a hard time don't realize that mine is the conservative amendment, because my amendment says that you have to have border security to get the reforms. And so what we do is we're setting up a matrix of things you have to do to make the border more secure. A report is issued, but then the immigration reform does not go forward unless the report comes back and is voted on by Congress. Everybody else says, oh, the president's just going to stamp it and say it's okay. That's not good enough. And so most conservatives have complained, well, gosh, they never gave us border security the last time. We want border security now. That's what ours does, is ensures that you get border security before immigration reform goes forward.
Immigration. In the news, a lot of illegal immigrants here, solutions are being put out. What's your solution to this?
I think you have to do something. We have 11 million people here, undocumented, and we need to figure out a way to document them. I'm for giving them work visas. If you give them work visas, I think then you incorporate them into society, they'll pay taxes and become like the rest of us. In order to do that, though, you have to have a secure border, because you can't invite the world to come visit and stay and say, hey, here's America, come and stay.
Does it have to be first? Does the border have to be first before you?
I think a couple things have to happen. Many conservatives, myself included, we're not very trustful of this administration. We're also not very trustful of government in general to do what they promised to do. In 1986, we did have a plan where we normalized 3 million people. And they said, well, we're going to secure the border. Well, now we have 11 million more people here, so that obviously is sort of objective fact that we didn't secure the border. So what I said is I had an amendment which didn't pass, and so I didn't vote for the bill that came to the Senate. My amendment was called Trust But Verify. It says that Congress should decide when the border is secure. Security should start first. After a year, we vote. Is the border more secure than it was last year? If it is, we proceed with giving people work visas. And we vote every year for 5 years. That way we don't leave it up to the president. We actually bring it back to Congress.
So basically, in some ways, you're talking amnesty here. Give people who are here illegally work visas. Should I be calling my mother up and saying, Mom, get on the plane now, Rand Paul's going to give you amnesty? Because I know she'd like to.
I think it's a mistake. I think we dumb down the conversation once we use words like amnesty.
Okay,
because I think what we have now is what I would call de facto amnesty. You have 11 million people here. Some broke the law to come here, but interestingly, when we say amnesty, we don't actually get to the nitty-gritty. Of the 11 million, 40% of them came here legally. They got a visa and they came to this country. How did they become illegal? They chose a job that paid better. If you pick crops in our country, it's about $9 an hour. Construction might be $14 an hour. It's illegal to go from picking crops to construction work. Now, if you or I did it and we were making $9 an hour, our family would come home and applaud us for making more money.
Yeah.
I don't consider that you're a criminal because you want to make more money. So I actually think that many of the people who came here and they have broken our visa laws, it's because big government visa laws aren't working very well. We ought to change it and make it easier for you to switch jobs when you come here.
What about the Republican Party? How is the Republican Party going to come to a consensus on this? There is some infighting over immigration. Right. How does it?
I think we have to work our way through it. First thing is I think you're seeing the Republican Party more open now to discussing immigration reform. Some of that's electoral politics. Elections do teach you things. If you want to win election, you have to learn from them. But I would say with immigration that the lesson is that we should do something. It doesn't mean that we should do anything that comes down the pike, though. And so I'm for doing immigration reform.
So what's a minimum that you have to have, and what line will you not cross?
To me is any bill that comes across has to be expand work visas in a large way to accommodate the need for workers. The second thing it has to do is Congress has to decide when the border is secure, and border security should come first.